Hare Krishna. Welcome back. This is the second episode of me reading the Bhagavad-Gita as it is in English. Right, chapter a day. Now we are chapter 2. There we go. Right. Content of the Gita summarized. Okay. Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion and very sorrowful, his eyes brimming with tears, Madhusunda Krishna spoke the following words. This is God speaking right now. That's mad. Okay, think about that. God of the universe speaking to you through this book. Actually God speaking. Okay, so this is God speaking. The Supreme Person, Bhagavan, said, that's Krishna, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the progressive values of life. They do not lead to the higher planets, but to infamy. O son of Prithra, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. Arjuna said, O killer of Madhu, that's Krishna, how can I counteract with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship? It is better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though they are advocarious, they are nonetheless superiors. If they are killed or spoiled, our spoils will be tainted in blood. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. The son of Dhritarashtra, whom if we killed we should not care to live, are now standing before us on this battlefield. Now I am confused about my duty and I have lost all composure because of weakness. In this condition I am asking you to tell me clearly what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and so surrender it unto you. Please instruct me. So Arjuna's asked for instruction from Krishna. Krishna goes, I can find no means to drive away... Oh no, this is Arjuna still. I can find no means to drive away this grief, which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to destroy it, even if I win an unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like that of the demigods in heaven. Sanjaya said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of the enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. O descendant of Bharata, at that time, Krishna, smiling in the midst of both armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. The blessed Lord said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. So don't worry about anything, brother. Never was there a time where I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So we've always been here. We've always been part and parcel of God. So in our heart we have the super soul, and that's where God resides in our. So we're part of God. So we can't be destroyed because God's never started, never ended. As the embodied soul continually passes in the body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Okay, remember we're just soul. We're not our human bodies. We're not our mind even. We're just soul. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course, are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception. O scion of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent there is no endurance, and of the existent there is no cessation. Cessation? C-E-S-S-A-T-I-O-N. This seers have concluded by studying the nature of both. we know that which pervades the entire body is indestructible. No one is able to destroy the imperishable soul. Text 18. Yeah. Only the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is subject to destruction. Therefore fight, O descendant of Bharata. He who thinks that the living entity is a slayer, or that he is slain, does not understand. One who is in knowledge knows that the self slays not, nor is slain. So we cannot kill, and we cannot be killed, because who we are, what we are, is so smaller than an atom. You can't destroy an atom. So there we go. For the soul there is never birth nor death, nor having once been does he ever cease to be. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, undying, and primeval. Is it primeval? Primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So obviously can still die, but it's your body. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, unborn, eternal, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, similarly the soul accepts new bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. So that was Arjuna asked, and then Krishna replied, saying about the new garments, we just put them on. The soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor can it be burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. The individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble, and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, all-pervading, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. Mad. From one who has taken his birth, death is certain, and for one who is dead, birth is certain. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. All created beings are unmanifested in the beginning, manifested in their interim state, and unmanifested again when they are annihilated. So what is the need for their what need is there for lamentation? Lamentation, not lamination. But that would be. I wouldn't choose to laminate myself. Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. Fair. O descendant of Bharata, for he who dwells in the body is eternal and can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any creature. Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyans to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. If, however, you do not fight this religious war, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties, and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. People will always speak of your infamy, and for one who has been honoured, dishonour is worse than death. The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you a coward. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you, O son of Kunti? Either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up and fight with determination. Do thou fight for the sake of fighting, without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing, you shall never incur sin. Thus far I have declared to you the analytical knowledge of the Sankhya philosophy. Now listen to the knowledge of yoga, whereby one works without fruitive results. O son of Prithra, when you act by such intelligence, you can free yourself from the bondage of works. In this endeavour, there is no loss. This is actually I think one of my favourite text from the Bhagavad-Gita as it is. Chapter 2, text 40. This is, in this endeavour, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. Wrong! In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination of devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. The Vedas mainly deal with the subjects of the three modes of material nature. Rise above these modes, O Arjuna. Be transcendental to all of them. Be free from all dualities, and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. All purpose that are served by the small pond can at once be served by the great reservoirs of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to the one who knows the purpose behind them. So what's the point of reading if you don't know the purpose? And what is that purpose? Krishna consciousness. Always being conscious of Krishna. And loving him and devoting your whole life to him. Your full 100% life. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. Be steadfast in yoga, O Arjuna. Perform your duty and abandon all attachment to success or failure. Such evenness of mind is called yoga. O Dhananjaya, rid yourself of all fruitive activities by devotional service, and surrender fully to that consciousness. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers, idiots. Text 50. A man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad actions even in this life. Therefore strive for yoga, O Arjuna, which is the art of all work. The wise engage in devotional service, take refuge in the Lord, and free themselves from the cycle of birth and death by renouncing the fruits of action in the material world. In this way they can attain the state beyond miseries. Let's check. I got a lot. I got 144. We're at 30 minutes, that's fine. If you're still watching, gang, buzz. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard, and that is to be heard. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. Arjuna said, what are the symptoms of those whose consciousness is thus immersed in transcendence? How does he speak, and what is his language? How does he sit, and how does he walk? Asking those questions that you want to know. The blessed Lord said, O Pratha, when a man gives up all varieties of sense desires which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be pure and transcendental consciousness. One who is not disturbed in spite of the threefold miseries, who is not elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. He who is without attachment, who does not rejoice when he obtains good, nor laments when he obtains evil, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. One who is able to withdraw his sense from sense objects, as a tortoise draws its limbs within the shell, is to be understood as truly situated in knowledge. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment through the taste for sense objects, though the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements, by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. That's what we want to be. Fixed in consciousness. The senses are so strong and impetuous, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind, even of a man of discrimination who is endeavouring to control them. Oh, who restrains his senses and fixes his conscience upon me is known as text 61. One who restrains his senses and fixes his conscience upon me is known as the man of steady intelligence. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment lust develops, and from lust anger arises. From anger delusion arises, and from delusion bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. One who can control his senses by practicing the regulated principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord, and thus become free from all attachment and aversion. For one who is situated in the divine consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such happy state, one intelligence soon becomes steady. So, it's talking about the threefold miseries. So that is passion, ignorance, and goodness. One who is not transcendental consciousness can have neither controlled mind nor steady intelligence, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? As a boat in the water is swept away by a strong wind, even one of the senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. Therefore, O mighty armed, one whose senses are restrained from their objects is certainly of steady intelligence. What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-controlled and... What is night for all beings? What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for self-controlled, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship, and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. That is the way of the spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered, being so situated, even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of heaven. So that's it. Chapter 2 finished. The contents of the Gita summarized. Join me tomorrow for Karma Yoga. Alright, well, my dandavats pranams to you and your families. Let me know if you want me to do other things. You know, apart from reading, I can talk about Krishna consciousness or other stuff. Yeah, have a good day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Haribol.